reflect on the fact that when we choose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only good can come from it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm your brother OTHMAN al-Talib with your daily al-Hijjah reminders about Ibrahim alayhi salam. Inshallah, today we continue down the path and the journey of the life of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and we will be focusing on the different conversations that Ibrahim alayhi salam had with his father throughout his life. And those conversations many times became very adversarial, especially from the part of his father, who, as we mentioned in the previous sessions, that his father was one of the people that used to build the idols that the town of Ibrahim alayhi salam used to worship. And so when Ibrahim alayhi salam began to question the status quo and question the belief system, the false gods that were being worshipped and that the system was built around, his father, there became distance between him and his father, and there became confrontation between him and his father. And one of the most, detailed exchanges between Ibrahim alayhi salam and his father, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides us insight into this in Surah Maryam, in Surah Maryam, which is Surah number 19 in the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that Ibrahim alayhi salam, he says, وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا. That mention in the book, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in this revelation, he's trying to connect the people of Mecca back to Ibrahim alayhi salam, because they still believed in him and they still followed the traditions of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And so by showing them the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and his conversation with his father about rejecting the false gods and only worshipping the one God, the only God, the one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who's worthy of worship, it was to show them that they should follow the tradition of Ibrahim alayhi salam in the way that it should be followed. And so the conversation between Ibrahim alayhi salam and his father started from a good intention, a good place, a place of love from Ibrahim alayhi salam, where he would tell his father, why do you worship idols that do not bring you benefit and do not bring you any harm? And then he would tell him that Allah has sent me and given me knowledge that He has not given to you, that gives me insight and conviction in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he tells his father, Ya abati la ta'bud ash-shaytan. Oh my father, do not worship the shaitan. And by worshipping the shaitan, meaning don't follow in the path of shaitan by associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the shaitan is an enemy of the Rahman. The shaitan, the devil, the Satan is an enemy of the most merciful. And so then his father, the conversations in many different surah also give us different insights, but they're around the same theme of Ibrahim alayhi salam, really trying to bring his father to the right path. And the reaction of his father says, قَالَ أَرَاغِبٌ أَنْتَ عَنْ آلِهَتِي يَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ. He says, yeah, Ibrahim, do you have this much hatred for our gods, the gods of our forefathers? Do you reject the path that I am on and the path that your ancestors were on? And he says, if you don't stop, لَإِن لَمْ تَنْتَهِ, if you don't stop with this nonsense, if you don't stop with this calling to a one God, لَأَرْجُمَنَّكَ, then I'm going to stone you, and I'm going to disown you. And so you can imagine if a father tells a son these types of words, when the son is trying to do something out of the sheer sincerity and love for their father or for their parent or for their loved one, it could be something that is very detrimental. And so what we get from this, the lesson from this, is that many times when we go down a path of tawheed, when we go down a path of finding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believing in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and trying to bring the ones closest to us to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, many people may not want to listen to that. And so we have to be ready for a reaction from the people closest to us, that the only way, the only ability that we have to make it through is that Allah subhanahu is to know with complete certainty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us, and that He has to remove from our hearts the love for anything else other than Him, because He wants to replace the love for anything in this world with the love for Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the ones that He truly loves. And that's not to say that we shouldn't have good relationships with our parents and our loved ones and our siblings, but rather to know that the true goal and objective is always to make it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He's the end goal, and that by what we can do is what's in our control, and what's in our control is to call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not in our control to guide people, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us لا تهدي من أحببت, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء, إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. In Surah Al-Shu'ara, Allah tells the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you cannot guide whom you love, rather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides whom He wills. And so guidance is not in our hands, but rather calling people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is what we can control, and our reaction to them when they either accept or reject. And so this is a beautiful, and you see that Allah then, through this experience of Ibrahim with his father, it taught him how to be a better father. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replaced that relationship, that void that he had with his own father, He replaced it by giving Ibrahim alayhi salam a lineage of righteous children, all the way down to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so we should always reflect on the fact that when we choose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only good can come from it. When we choose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the face of any adversity, in the face of rejection, in the face of turmoil and adversity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always gives us something that is much better. And that's why مَن يَتَقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, whoever shows a constant sense of God consciousness, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always give them a way out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always provide them a path forward. And so my beloved sisters and brothers, we learn from Ibrahim alayhi salam the tough things of life, which is having the conversations with our loved ones, having conversations with the people around us, the people closest to us, that when we call them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not everyone will react in the best way, but we must be steadfast in our beliefs and our conviction that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the path, and that He will use that as a means to reward us and to provide us with a way out that is much better than where we stand today. And so we ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides us and accepts us and allows us to be on the millah of Ibrahim, on the path of Ibrahim. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.